hello there. If you want, you can be Peach and I can be Mario, and we can both smash. And that's why I'm still single. Hello everyone, David here. So I feel like this review is very overdue. And man, I've been wanting to do it, but I've been catching up with other reviews and other things and my new job. But finally, I am here to bring you guys a review of a franchise that I've loved ever since I was a very small boy, with the original on the Nintendo 64. Now, I don't have a Wii U, so I can't say anything about the console version, but I do have a 3DS, and being that we just got the release of the Mewtwo DLC, I can't think of any better time than to review Super Smash Bros. For the 3DS. And if you're still watching my videos and don't know what Smash Bros. Is, I pity you. I really pity you. But in case you're one of the minorities that were born in the past 5 years, and in that case, I don't really pity you. I can kind of understand why maybe you might not be too familiar with Smash Brothers, and yet you're still watching my videos because you came across me on the internet. But anyways, I feel the obligation to fill you in on what Smash Brothers is all about. Or maybe you're someone who's known about Smash Brothers but never really got into it. Hopefully I can do that, and if I can, man, I will feel very proud of myself. But anyways, Smash Brothers has no basic story. There's no story mode. There's no premise. Basically, it's all of Nintendo's favorite characters, for the most part, getting together and fighting each other, and basically you taking control of them in a very simple yet really fun fighting game that Nintendo has produced over the years. And sure, there's some characters in here that are not exactly Nintendo based, but that's the fun of it. You know, you've ever imagined what it would be like for Mario to go up against Link? Well, with this franchise, you can do just that. Now, before I get any deeper into the review, I feel like I need to put a little disclaimer here before I go on, in order to explain why I feel like some things in this game were kind of new to me. I never played Brawl. Yes, I never played Smash Bros. Brawl. Played the original, played Melee on the GameCube, never played Brawl. It was the Wii. It turned me off so bad, especially when they showed you how to play with the nunchucks, and then if you don't want to play it like that, you have to turn the remote sideways. It's like this. You grab this remote, and you play like this. No. I don't want to do this. That turned me off so bad that I did not want to get a Wii, and therefore I skipped out on Brawl. I will definitely be getting a Wii U later on in the future, hopefully in the very hopefully in the very near future, and with it, of course, will come the console version of Smash Brothers, of the new Smash Brothers, and that will be my first console version of Smash Brothers since Melee. And being that Wii U is backwards compatible, I will probably get Brawl, play that, and hopefully I'll be all caught up and know what I've been missing out, especially playing at certain characters that were exclusively to that game, like Solid Snake. But yeah, I never played Brawl, therefore some things that are in this game that may have been used in Brawl will be kind of new to me. So if I say that something is new, that's probably why. So there you go. Now, I remember the heads of Nintendo, or somebody at Nintendo, saying that essentially they make games for gamers. You know, PlayStation, Xbox, sometimes they kind of redirect their cores into trying to provide different forms of entertainment through gaming and try different things. But Nintendo has always made games just for the sake of making games. And I think that that's something to really take into account when it comes to the 3DS version of Smash Brothers, because they didn't really cut any corners. This is Smash Brothers brought to the 3DS, and it feels just like it would on a console, with the same aesthetic and the same game modes that you've experienced before with a brand new one, and different features along with returning ones that make this the essential Smash Brothers game, only this time brought to portable consoles. And it feels just like that without feeling watered down or, like I said, cutting any kind of corners. However, there's no denying that being that it's being brought to a handheld system as opposed to what it's been on this entire time, which is a console, there are going to be some minor complications going in that I think everyone should know about prior to going into the game. Even if nobody's telling them, they should have some common sense saying, yeah, there's probably going to be some things, some minor things sacrificed to bring it to the handheld system, because there's only so much that that handheld system can do. And there were some complications I had with Smash Brothers, more on a technical level with the 3DS version of the game, but That's come to be expected because there's no way that you can bring it to 3DS without having to get rid of some things in order to really focus on what makes Smash Brothers really great. And one of the big surprises you'll get when you first boot up the game on the 3DS is how gorgeous it looks. I mean, sure, it's not in HD like with the Wii U version, and there's going to be some minor details, like I said, sacrificed, whether it be lightning in the costumes for both Mario and Luigi that you would see in the Wii U version, or little things in the background when it comes to the stages that you get to play on. But you'll only notice that if you really, pick it out, because the screen is this small. So are you really going to sit there and be like, oh, it just doesn't look like the Wii U version? Nah, dude, just back away from the screen and enjoy how great this game looks on that portable system. Something that wasn't even fathomable back when... Fathomable? Anyways, it's something that I don't think they even perfected back when the original DS came out, and just look how far they've come. And it still looks great, and it runs at 60 frames per second as opposed to the 30 frames on the console version. Mainly that trade-off had to happen to bring it to HD on the Wii U version, but because you're dealing with a smaller screen, they were able to advance the frame rate to the likes of the original Smash Brothers on the N64 or even the Melee version. And if you're looking at the screen here, you'll notice that some of the characters have these little black outlines that was first introduced to us when they unveiled the 3DS and Wii U versions of Smash Brothers back in, what was it, E3 of 2013, around there? Maybe, yeah, I think it was E3 2013. And a lot of people were kind of turned off because it made it seem like Nintendo was going to go for a cel-shaded look with the 3DS version. But it turns out that if you don't like this black outline, you can actually turn it off and make the game look like the Wii U version. And I thought that was awesome. And being that I prefer that, I went ahead and I turned it off. Now, why did they include that? My best bet is because they wanted you to distinguish the characters when they're fighting amongst each other on a tiny little screen. I mean, on the Wii U version, you'll be able to tell who's who. But on the 3DS, maybe you might get lost in the mix, quite literally, and you're not going to be able to know who's who. So they kind of put these black outlines to be able to make the characters pop out from the environment. Or you could argue that maybe it was there for technical reasons to, again, sacrifice certain things for better things. But then again, why would they make it there and make it optional? So I feel like it was just there to distinguish the characters apart, to make it a little bit easier on you. And if that's the case, which more than likely it was, then kudos to you, Nintendo. The only actual complaint that I have with the way this game is presented is not so much with the game itself, but with the menus. Now, upon looking at it, it doesn't look like it's all that complicated, and to be honest, it's nothing too big of a deal, but I was having trouble finding certain modes that I knew were in this game, but for some reason I couldn't find them until, like, say for example, I wanted to look for the classic mode or the All-Star mode that I wanted to play, and I didn't find them until I looked through the Games and More section. Okay, when I look at this button here that says Games and More, I imagine the Target Blast minigame or the Sandbag minigame, the one that you hit the sandbag to see how far it goes, or even the Multi-Man Smash. I don't expect Classic and All-Star mode to be in there, so like I said, it's not that huge of a deal, but it was kind of daunting to have to go through these different menus in order to finally find that Classic and All-Star mode hidden all the way in here. Now, like I said, it feels just like the same old Smash Brothers that you know and love, so when you actually start fighting, it's going to feel like Smash Brothers. The way the characters feel, respective to the characters that you play as. For example, Donkey Kong is going to feel a lot heavier, and Samus is going to be a little bit faster, and she's going to be using her projectiles because she's got the suit. Every character is faithful to the previous version that you played as before, and even the new characters that you get to play as feel like they should. And just the fighting mechanics and everything is the same as it's always been. And usually for a sequel of a game to come out on either the same console or even the next generation of consoles, you go, okay, that's cool, that's fine. If it's not broken, don't fix it. But being that they were able to tell that kind of they were able to take that kind of engine and then put it on the handheld system and keep it intact is quite extraordinary, to be honest. But even when you do that, there's no denying there's going to be some slight issues with the controls, mainly on the interface of the 3DS. And this, again, much like with the menus and my little skirmish with the menus, this isn't that big of a deal. And I knew ahead of time that this was going to be there, and it was going to be present while I actually fought in the game. And that was that certain things that were done easier on the console version because of the way the controls are laid out on the controller were a little bit more difficult to do on the 3DS because of the way those buttons are mapped out, especially the little circle pad that is used instead of an actual control stick. You know, it's not popping out. It's a little disc that's kind of flat on the surface of the 3DS. So smash attacks are a little bit more difficult. Sometimes they wouldn't register, not because there was a disconnect between the game and the system, but because my finger just, it would sometimes be a little bit tough to get that smash movement, and sometimes my character would just do a left and right A attack rather than a smash left and right A attack. You also got some new and returning modes to keep you busy. You got the classic mode where you go through different stages fighting new enemies, each one with a little twist to make it a little bit more difficult, and you also get to increase the intensity so that you get some bonus rewards after you beat it, leading up to that climactic battle with either Master or Crazy Hand. You also got All-Star mode where you fight a cluster of opponents based on the year that they were released. So say for example, Mario came out in the 80s, early 80s, so you fight Mario as well as maybe Link if they were released in the same year. That very first game they came out in the NES. You fight both of them together, and then the next year you got the first appearance of Donkey Kong or whatever. I'm probably getting my Nintendo history wrong here, but that's the way All-Star works, and you have to do it all in one run with the damage that you received in the previous battle carrying on onwards to the next battle, making it more difficult. And both of these modes are very rewarding, very fun to play, and very reminiscent of classic Smash Brothers. The only mode that didn't really sit well with me was Smash Run, which is actually the brand new mode that comes to the 3DS version of Smash Brothers. I know that there's another brand new mode that comes in the Wii U version, but it's named differently, and maybe there's some differences in the actual mode itself in terms of how you play as opposed to this one. But this is the new mode that gets introduced in the 3DS version, and basically what you do is that you take a character and you take them through these different little crevices and within this giant stage, and you defeat these random enemies, and every time you do so, little power-ups will appear. And the point is for you to power up your character so that at the end, these 3 other opponents that get chosen at random will then power themselves up, and then you have to fight them. And essentially that's practically about it. In my opinion, I think that's a little bit more fun if you actually fight other people, which you can do so. But Smash Run, I don't know, there was something about it that didn't really appeal to me. It's not bad, it's fine. It's fine. But I just didn't find anything of lasting appeal to it. I didn't feel like I wanted to revisit it again. I felt more compelled to play Classic and All-Star way more than I did with Smash Run. And the only reason why I played Smash Run is mainly to unlock some characters that needed to play Smash Run in order to be able to unlock. Speaking of characters, you got yourself a wonderful roster here filled with quite a few dozen characters to choose from, and it's very bountiful, and I think that this is a really good selection of characters to put in this new generation of Smash Brothers. Now, there was a slight issue that I had with it that over time I kind of got over, and that was the fact that I felt like maybe there were just a few too many Pokemon characters as well as Fire Emblem characters. I felt like there were just a few too many. But then I thought about the fact that you could make the same argument for the Zelda characters or even the Mario characters. I mean, you got all of these right here that come from Mario, so yeah, it shouldn't be one to talk. But essentially, you do have a really great collection of characters, as well as a few, maybe 10, a little under 10 characters that you also have to unlock even after you start the game. My only minor issues with the roster is that some characters get unlocked in a rather generic way. I remember back in Melee, because that was the last one I played, having some creative ways to be able to unlock characters, some creative methods that you needed to do in order to unlock characters. I remember trying to unlock Mewtwo and spending or leaving my GameCube on with 4 CPU opponents fighting each other to try to multiply the time that has been played, because in order to unlock Mewtwo on that game was to play Smash Brothers for 24 hours. And I was trying to rank up my time by putting in 4 controllers and creating, having 4 characters fight each other at one time and leaving it running. And man, unlocking Mewtwo was a bit of a bitch back in the day. And I kind of miss that way of unlocking certain characters, but for the most part, all you have to do is play Smash a certain amount of times, or complete the Smash run or the classic mode a certain amount of times. I mean, there's a couple of characters that need a specific character to be able to unlock. You know, you need to complete classic mode using a specific character, and then boom, the challenger will approach. But for the most part, you can also unlock almost every other character by simply just playing Smash Brothers like 80 times or 90 times, and that's it. And Nintendo, how many times do I have to unlock Ness? Ness is still an unlockable character. He's been there since the first one. Why is he still an unlockable character? He should be a default character by now. It still kind of bothers me that I still have to unlock Ness after all this time. Now, one of the things that I was looking forward to the most when I popped this in was to be able to create my own character and put him in Smash Brothers. And there I am, playing in Smash Bros. Of course, when you put yourself in the game, it's through the Mii creator on the 3DS, or if you're playing on the Wii U version, the Mii creator on that one as well. And honestly, I love it. The customization system to be able to create your own character is pretty simple, but it's still very engaging, very fun. There's some silly things to do in there, but also some very important things, like how strong your character is, or how agile, as well as giving them a Luigi hat, or a ninja suit in this case. And I just love it. It's classic Nintendo, but this time you put yourself in the action, and nothing delighted me more than to create my own character that resembles me quite an awful lot, wielding a sword against Meta Knight. That's just awesome. And along with everything I just mentioned, there's plenty of other stuff to do in Smash Brothers. Like I mentioned before, there's the little mini games that you can play, like the Target Blast, or the 100-man Smash, or multi-man Smash, or endless Smash, whatever you want to call it. Different versions of that opponent type of thing, as well as the sandbag, hit the sandbag and see how far it goes. And that Target Blast is very reminiscent of Angry Birds, only with Smash Brothers characters, and plenty of other stuff to do, as well as these challenges. You got these panels of challenges, basically achievements or trophies in PlayStation that you can unlock as you progress in the game and do specific things like play Smash Run a certain amount of times, or collect a certain amount of outfits for your customizable characters. And also, just like before, you got trophies to collect, and also some bonus little things here. You got the stages to unlock along with the bonus characters, as well as sound effects, albums, different things that you can do throughout the game to give it just an abundance of replay value. And if you still have the craving to fight, even after completing some of these bonus little things, then you can also go online and play with other people wirelessly. So is it going to be as great as any of the console versions of Smash Brothers? Not necessarily, especially Wii U being that's the latest one. But you really need to appreciate what Nintendo was able to pack into such a tiny little package on the 3DS. Being so faithful to what we've known from Smash Brothers. You know, everything feels like Smash Brothers. You got all the content that you would expect from Smash Brothers. And sure, being that it's on the 3DS, there's going to be some limitations, but you need to take what you get with Smash Brothers on the 3DS. And I think it's a good enough reason to purchase a 3DS on its own. So sure, it's not going to live up to the Wii U version, but even so, I feel like I'm still going to be revisiting Smash Brothers on the 3DS, on the go, whether I'm waiting for somebody at the doctor's office, or waiting to get into class, or for work, because this is definitely a game I'm willing to revisit even after unlocking all the characters and all the stages. So for that, I give Super Smash Bros. On the 3DS a high 8 out of 10. So let me know what you guys thought of Super Smash Bros. On the 3DS if you have played it, but if you have not and would like to purchase the game after watching my review, then be sure to use the link in the description below. It would really help me out a lot. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And one last message to all Smash Bros. Players around the world: please stop spamming King DDD, that evil penguin.